Hi, this is Abhiram. So I just finished reading this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So this is actually a really good book. So first of all, coming to the title of this book, so How to Win Friends and Influence People. So this is one of those titles, one of those taglines, one of those names. Like you just wonder, how did he just come up with that? This is such an attractive title, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it has been on print for the last 75 years and more. So let me just give you a little bit of background behind why Dale Carnegie had decided to write a book on human relations. So first of all, the writer, Mr. Dale Carnegie, so he used to teach these classes, he used to conduct classes. He has spent his entire life on how to train corporate people, other people, to improve their ability to speak, how to communicate, and all these things. So his whole life has been about training, dealing with people. He had done multiple researches. So in each of his courses, he would he would give them different things to do. They would all practice this, and he will come up with certain results. And throughout this book, we can see all the researchers results that his students have gotten from actually doing the things that he suggests us to do for improving our interpersonal skills. So this book is totally about how to improve your communication skills, how to interact with people better, how to, like make more friends, all these things, just like the title suggests. And more than just like the title, like when we think about this title, what is the one thing that comes to your mind, like immediately? You would think that, oh, this is maybe a book about manipulation or something like that. That is how we influence people, right? So when I first heard this title, I was like, this is definitely a book that has a lot of principles on how you can manipulate others or anything like that. So if you're actually going to pick up this book and think that maybe there will be some tips on that, and this book is based upon that principle, then you'd be completely wrong. And let me tell you why. Because this book is simply about changing your perspective, simply changing your perspective about how you look at things in life. And it is about behavior. So if you can change your perspective and you can change your behavior around people, you are more likely to make more friends and have better relationships with people who are in your life. And that is actually the fundamentals of this book. So he also mentions in the starting of this book how to get the most out of this book. There is like 9 principles he states which would be best. So he mentions us to reach only go to the next chapter after we finish the first chapter. First, we should go to the first chapter, read it quickly. Then, once again, we should read it. So every time I noticed that when I read the chapter twice, there was always something that I missed or something I did not actually think about. So that when I read it for the second time, I was like, oh, okay, that's a different perspective to look at this. And like that is the whole book. That this is an amazing book, and I have actually read this book twice because every chapter, you have to read it again. Only then you go to the next chapter. And every time you read a chapter, at the end of the chapter, there is, like he mentions, like this one principle, and you just keep waiting. Okay, let's see what the principle is going to be, and you try to make a guess because you understand throughout the chapter what is the principle he's actually going to talk about. So yeah, so that is about this book. And there is one reason that he states why he actually decided to write this book, and it is because he realized that at his time when he was actually a young, a young person in his 20s, he did not had any books or anything he could find on human relations or how to deal better with people. And he talks about the survey where a lot of people were interviewed and surveyed around what is something that they wanted to learn about. And this is not in relation to academics. This were all people who were working professionals, business owners, or in later stages of their lives. And they all mentioned two things. So the number one thing they wanted to learn about was health, and the number two was people, or how to deal with people better. So he mentions that let this book be your introduction on to how to get better at dealing with people. So that is the whole premise of this book, and I have heard multiple people, different business owners talk about this book. Many people talk about this book, that this is one of those books that you just have to read in order to change your perspective around people, in order to change your behavior and all these things. And it all makes sense now. And he also mentions that don't just read this book and put it in the cupboard or something. He requests us to like remind ourselves of the principles of this book, so that we don't forget it. And also he mentions that if you want, you can track your record with people, something like that, on a weekly or a monthly basis, so that when you look back, you realize that slowly you are getting better at dealing with people, avoiding conflicts, and all those things. So yeah, that is about this video. So thank you so much for watching this video. I am reading another book right now. I'm reading right now Atomic Habits by James Clear. So that video is going to be up soon as I finish this book. And I think the Atomic Habit book is a really good book. I have heard a lot about that book also. So yeah, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.